The great hall of the Alien Council shimmered with the soft luminescence of bioluminescent vines clinging to its walls. Representatives from dozens of species filled the amphitheater, their varied forms reflecting the diversity of the galaxy. Glistening carapaces, feathered crests, and scaled hides shimmered under the soft light, their owners conversing in a cacophony of alien languages. At the center of the chamber sat the delegation from the Via Dominion, towering predators with sharp claws and sharper tongues. Their leaders sneered as the human diplomat entered the room. Humans, the whispers said, were primitive creatures. Fragile in physique, their technology lagged eons behind the more advanced species. Many of the gathered dignitaries viewed the diplomat's solitary arrival as an insult or, worse, a sign of desperation. A murmur of disbelief rippled through the hall as the human approached the council's center, a lone figure amid a sea of beings far more imposing. He was an unassuming man, clad in a simple, formal black uniform with no ornate insignias. He carried himself with an air of calm confidence, every step deliberate. His build was lean, his height unremarkable, but his presence demanded attention. His dark eyes seemed to take in everything, a sharp contrast to the easy smile that graced his lips. The murmurs turned into muted discussions. "This is their representative?" One alien scoffed, mandibles clicking in disbelief. Another, a serpentine creature, hissed with amusement. "The humans send a lamb to the slaughter." Those who had heard the whispers about humanity's emissary remained silent, however. To a few of the elder delegates, there was something unsettling about the man. His nickname, a human phrase that defied easy translation, whispered ominously through the chamber, Baba Yaga. A representative of the Valkyrie rose, his voice a deep growl that echoed throughout the hall. "You dare send a single envoy to negotiate on behalf of your species? Is this arrogance or ignorance?" He bared razor-sharp teeth in a display meant to intimidate, his muscular frame towering over the seated diplomat. The man didn't flinch. Instead, he inclined his head slightly, his disarming smile never faltering. "Humanity believes in efficient diplomacy. I am more than capable of representing our interests." The Valkyrie leader's laughter was a low, menacing rumble. "You've made a grave mistake, little human. Your kind should know its place." His words dripped with condescension, and several other delegates chuckled in agreement. The diplomat's smile thinned, but he remained calm. "It seems, Counselor, that you misunderstand our intent. Humanity comes in peace. We extend a hand of friendship, not subjugation." The Valkyrie leader leaned closer, his predatory eyes narrowing. "And what if we prefer to crush that hand?" The hall fell silent. The other species watched, some with anticipation, others with unease. The human met the alien's gaze, his demeanor unchanging. For the first time, his voice carried a slight edge. "You may try, but history suggests you would regret it." The room erupted in murmurs once more. The Valkyrie leader snarled, his claws scraping the metal railing before him. "Are you threatening us?" "Not at all," the diplomat replied, his tone measured, almost bored. "I'm merely offering you a chance to reconsider your approach. Humanity prefers diplomacy, but we are not without alternatives." Several delegates exchanged uneasy glances. The man's words were neither loud nor aggressive, but there was something in his calm delivery that unsettled even the most arrogant among them. The Valkyrie leader, however, was not among them. Rising to his full height, he turned to address the gathered council. "This is what humans call negotiation. Veiled threats from a species that clings to the fringes of relevance?" The diplomat leaned back slightly in his chair, crossing his arms. His eyes, once warm and friendly, now carried an unsettling intensity. "You mistake restraint for weakness," he said quietly. "That is an error you should not make lightly." The Valkyrie leader roared with laughter, and several others joined him. The diplomat remained unmoved. He glanced at a timepiece on his wrist, his movements unhurried. When the laughter subsided, the hall grew tense again. The man stood, brushing non-existent dust from his uniform. His expression betrayed nothing, no anger, no fear, just an unnerving composure. "Ladies and gentlemen of the council," he began, his voice steady, Humanity does not seek conflict. But I must caution you, should you choose to provoke us, you will find that even a lamb can bear fangs when threatened. With that, he offered the council a final, polite nod before turning and leaving the hall. For a moment, no one moved. The Viekiri leader sneered after him, his arrogance blinding him to the uneasy silence that had settled over the room. One of the elder delegates, her translucent skin glistening faintly, leaned toward her companion. I have heard tales of the Baba Yaga, she whispered. They say it is not just a legend but a warning. We may have underestimated him. Her companion said nothing, his eyes fixed on the retreating figure of the human diplomat, who disappeared through the grand doors with the same calm confidence he had carried upon entering. The Viekiri delegation acted swiftly, their leader's pride demanding immediate retaliation for the humans' perceived insolence. As the council session adjourned, the human diplomat made his way through the grand corridors, his movements unhurried and serene. It was here, away from the watchful eyes of the council, that the Viekiri struck. The first strike was meant to intimidate, not kill. A shadow loomed behind him as a towering Viekiri warrior lunged, claws outstretched. The diplomat moved with startling precision, sidestepping the attack as though he'd anticipated it. The alien's claws raked the air where he had been standing moments before. Another Viekiri joined the fray, blocking his path. You dare defy us? The warrior snarled, voice dripping with malice. The diplomat didn't respond. Instead, he shifted his stance subtly, his expression unreadable. When the first Viekiri lunged again, he ducked low, sweeping the alien's legs from beneath him in one fluid motion. The massive creature crashed to the ground with a guttural growl. The second warrior swung wildly, but the human ducked and weaved, evading each strike with uncanny grace. Despite his evident skill, he refrained from delivering any fatal blows, his movements measured and deliberate. To an observer, it was clear he was holding back. You're toying with us, the downed Viekiri snarled, rising to his feet. For your sake, the diplomat said calmly, I suggest you stop before this escalates. His words were met with laughter. More Viekiri emerged from the shadows, their hulking forms cutting off his escape. The leader of the group stepped forward, sneering. You think you can walk into our domain and make threats? You will learn your place, human. The diplomat sighed, adjusting the cuff of his sleeve. I warned you. The Viekiri leader growled, his claws gleaming in the dim light. You warned us? Of what? Your people's frailty? The human's gaze sharpened, the warmth in his demeanor replaced by a chilling calm. No, he said quietly. Of what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. Ignoring his words, the Viekiri charged as one, their brute force overwhelming. For a moment, the human vanished beneath the tide of alien attackers. But then, almost impossibly, he emerged unscathed, slipping through their grasp with an agility that belied his frame. Finally, he stopped, standing at the far end of the corridor, untouched and unshaken. His voice cut through the tension like a blade. You've awakened something you cannot control. The Viekiri leader bellowed with laughter. Empty words, human! Do you think your threats frighten us? The human tilted his head, his eyes darkening. They should. Reaching into his jacket, he retrieved a sleek, metallic device. Its design was simple, almost unimpressive, but the way he held it commanded attention. Without another word, he pressed the device's central button. A low hum filled the corridor, and the Viekiri hesitated, their bravado faltering. The diplomat's expression remained unreadable, but there was an unmistakable shift in his demeanor, no longer merely calm, but something far more dangerous. You wanted a lesson, he said softly. You're about to receive one. Unbeknownst to the Viekiri, the device he activated had sent a signal far beyond the confines of the Council's chambers. On the far side of the galaxy, Earth's command centers came alive. Monitors lit up with data streams, and high-ranking officials snapped to attention. Signal confirmed, an officer reported. It's the Baba Yaga. He's calling for backup. The room fell silent as the gravity of the situation sank in. Orders were issued, and within moments, humanity's fleets mobilized. Warships, sleek and brimming with advanced technology, emerged from hyperspace, their formation precise and unyielding. The soldiers aboard these vessels were a testament to humanity's adaptability, disciplined, resourceful, and prepared for any challenge. Meanwhile, back at the Council station, the Viekuri warriors remained oblivious to the storm they had unleashed. Their leader advanced toward the human, his claws flexing. "You think calling for reinforcements will save you?" The diplomat didn't respond. He simply watched, his silence more unnerving than any retort. A distant rumble echoed through the station as humanity's fleet arrived, their ships blotting out the stars. The Viekuri leader froze, his bravado faltering as the ground beneath them vibrated with the energy of the arriving vessels. The diplomat spoke again, his voice calm but laced with finality. "It's not me you should be worried about. It's them." Above the station, humanity's flagship loomed, a colossus of steel and firepower. From its underbelly, smaller craft deployed in perfect synchronization, their trajectories calculated to instill both awe and dread. The Viekuri leader took an involuntary step back, his eyes wide with disbelief. What is this?" "This," the diplomat said, pocketing the device, "is humanity's response to aggression." As the Council station trembled under the weight of humanity's arrival, the full scale of their miscalculation became clear. The Viekuri, so confident in their superiority, now stood face to face with a force they could neither match nor escape. The diplomat's final words hung heavy in the air. "You wanted to see our place in the galaxy. Now you'll understand it." The stars above the Council station were blotted out as the human fleet arrived. Ships of sleek, angular design materialized in perfect formation, their surfaces glinting with an ominous sheen. Each vessel hummed with restrained power, their configurations alien to the onlookers but undeniably advanced. They moved with a precision that suggested not just advanced engineering but impeccable coordination. The alien council, previously dismissive of humanity, watched in stunned silence. The flagship, a colossal construct bristling with weaponry, hovered ominously at the station's edge. Its arrival was a statement. Humanity had not come to beg, it had come to dictate terms. Smaller vessels deployed into strategic positions, their movements precise and calculated, encircling the station like predators closing in on prey. Within the flagship, the diplomat's demeanor had transformed. Gone was the composed negotiator. In his place stood a figure radiating authority and cold resolve. His voice, calm yet commanding, echoed across the bridge as he issued orders. Every instruction was met with immediate action, his crew responding with a unity that reflected humanity's years of preparation for scenarios exactly like this one. "Engage the suppression protocols," he ordered. The ship's AI, a marvel of human ingenuity, processed the command instantly. Non-lethal measures were deployed with surgical precision. Electromagnetic pulses disabled the Viekuri's weapon systems, leaving their warships powerless. Drones swarmed the station, releasing containment fields that immobilized Viekuri personnel without causing lasting harm. The Viekuri leader's growls of defiance turned to silence as his forces were subdued. Their ships, once symbols of their dominance, floated adrift, rendered useless by humanity's superior technology. The methods were humiliating by design, a calculated move to show the galaxy that humanity's strength lay not only in its firepower but in its restraint. Across the station, screens lit up with displays of humanity's coordinated efforts. AI algorithms disrupted the Viekuri's communication systems, their once secure channels overridden by the human fleet. Cybernetic strikes rendered their defenses obsolete, while human soldiers, clad in advanced exosuits, secured critical areas without firing a single lethal shot. The Council's representatives, watching helplessly, began to grasp the truth: humanity had been vastly underestimated. Where the Viekuri relied on brute strength, humanity had honed adaptability, strategy, and innovation into a devastating arsenal. The diplomat, now fully embodying the legend of the Baba Yaga, stood at the center of it all. His voice, carried across every channel, was calm but unyielding. "This could have been avoided," he said. "Humanity sought peace, but we will not be disrespected or ignored. Let this be a lesson. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer the underestimated newcomer. It had arrived as a force that could not be ignored, and the galaxy would remember this day. The once mighty Valkyrie forces now lay in utter disarray. Their warships, once symbols of unassailable dominance, floated powerless in the void, their systems deactivated by humanity's surgical strikes. On the Council Station, Valkyrie warriors sat immobilized within shimmering containment fields, their expressions a mix of fury and despair. The towering figures who once roared with arrogance now seemed smaller, their claws useless against the precision of humanity's response. Their leaders, including the once defiant Valkyrie commander, were marched into a secure chamber under heavy guard. They struggled against their bonds but to no avail. For all their physical might, they were no match for the technological ingenuity arrayed against them. Their snarls faded into silence as the reality of their defeat sank in. The Alien Council, still gathered in the Grand Chamber, watched the events unfold on holoscreens. The quiet awe that had replaced earlier condescension was palpable. Some of the delegates exchanged uneasy glances, while others openly marveled at the restraint humanity displayed. They had expected brutality, a display of overwhelming violence to establish dominance. Instead, humanity's actions conveyed a different message. At the heart of the chamber, the human diplomat stood before the council. His calm demeanor had returned, but there was a new gravity to his presence. This was no longer a negotiator seeking equal footing. This was a figure commanding respect and demanding accountability. "Members of the council," he began, his voice steady and resolute. "Today, a lesson has been taught, not just to the Valkyrie but to all who have gathered here." His words hung in the air, drawing the attention of every being in the room. Even the Valkyrie leader, humbled and bound, was forced to listen. "Humanity came to this council seeking peace," the diplomat continued. "We extended a hand of friendship, not because we are weak, but because we understand the value of cooperation. Yet, time and again, we are underestimated, our kindness mistaken for naivety." He paused, allowing the weight of his words to settle. The council chamber was utterly silent, save for the faint hum of the containment fields. "We are not here to conquer, nor are we here to prove our superiority. Humanity does not desire war. But let me be clear, should you choose to provoke us, we will defend ourselves with everything at our disposal. We are prepared for peace, but we are equally prepared for war." Several council members nodded subtly, their earlier disdain for the human delegation replaced with respect. The diplomat's voice softened, but his tone lost none of its power. "Let this be a reminder," he said, his gaze sweeping across the chamber, "that strength is not always loud. Sometimes it is silent. Sometimes it is measured. But it is always present." He turned his attention to the Valkyrie delegation, his eyes locking with their leaders. "To those who attacked us, know this, you are not defeated because we are stronger. You are defeated because you allowed arrogance to blind you. If you wish to survive in this galaxy, you must learn humility. Learn respect." The Valkyrie leader lowered his gaze, unable to meet the diplomat's piercing stare. Turning back to the council, the diplomat concluded, "Humanity stands ready to work alongside those who value mutual respect and cooperation. But we will not tolerate hostility. Today, we have shown restraint. Remember this restraint, and remember what could have been, had we chosen otherwise." The chamber erupted into murmurs, the gravity of the speech resonating deeply with its audience. Some council members nodded in agreement, others cast wary glances at the defeated Valkyrie, and a few exchanged looks of newfound respect for the human emissary. In the aftermath of the conflict, reparations were swiftly negotiated. The Valkyrie were forced to issue a formal apology, their leader's growling words dripping with humiliation as he acknowledged their misstep. Reparations were agreed upon, including material compensation and a guarantee to cease any further aggression toward humanity. For the human delegation, the victory was not just in subduing the Valkyrie but in earning the respect of the Council. No longer were humans viewed as a lesser species. The message was clear: humanity was not to be trifled with, but they were willing to stand as equals among the galactic community. As the human fleet withdrew, the council chambers remained abuzz with discussion. The diplomat, once again composed and approachable, exchanged farewells with several council members who now looked upon him with admiration and respect. The shadow of the Baba Yaga lingered, a quiet but undeniable force, ensuring that humanity's place in the galaxy was firmly established. The aftermath of the confrontation rippled across the galaxy, fundamentally altering the Council's dynamics. No longer was humanity regarded as a lesser species, struggling for recognition among the established powers. The Council now acknowledged humanity as an equal, perhaps even a force to be reckoned with. Policies were swiftly drafted, emphasizing mutual respect and fair treatment among all member species. Humanity's insistence on cooperation over domination set a new precedent, its values reshaping the discourse within the council chambers. The Viacurii, humbled and chastened, retreated from their aggressive stance. Though their pride had been wounded, they understood the futility of further hostilities. The other council members, still grappling with the magnitude of humanity's demonstration, took heed. Conversations turned from division to unity, with humanity's example serving as a catalyst for change. While the galaxy's political landscape shifted, another transformation took place, one not written in laws or decrees but whispered across star systems. The legend of the human diplomat, known only as the Baba Yaga, began to spread. Among the galactic populace, stories of his calm demeanor and devastating precision took on a life of their own. The Viacurii described him as a shadow cloaked in human form, capable of unleashing unimaginable power without lifting a finger. Traders passing through council territories recounted tales of the fleet that appeared as if conjured from the void, silencing an entire species without a single death. Some spoke of him with fear, believing him an avatar of humanity's wrath, while others admired the restraint he embodied. The duality of his legend, a being of mercy and menace, only deepened the mystique. His name became a cautionary tale, a reminder to think twice before underestimating the humans. Yet, amid the growing mythos, the man behind the legend remained grounded. The diplomat returned to Earth to a hero's welcome. Crowds gathered at the spaceport, cheering as he stepped off the vessel. Media outlets clamored for interviews, and leaders praised his efforts in securing humanity's place among the stars. But the man himself seemed distant, his thoughts elsewhere, as he acknowledged the adoration with a nod and a faint smile. Later, away from the public eye, he stood alone on a hill overlooking the glittering expanse of Earth's largest city. The lights stretched into the horizon, a testament to humanity's ingenuity and resilience. Yet, as he gazed out, his expression was contemplative. He thought of the events that had unfolded, the Viacuri's arrogance, the Council's underestimation, and the power he had wielded to shift the narrative. Humanity's strength was undeniable, but it was not strength alone that defined them. It was their resolve, their ability to choose peace when war was an option, to temper power with purpose. In the quiet of that moment, he spoke softly, as if to himself. It's not our strength they should fear, but our resolve. Because it's that resolve that guides how we use our strength. The weight of those words lingered as he turned away, leaving the city lights behind. The galaxy now knew humanity not as conquerors but as protectors, capable of immense destruction yet choosing cooperation. The legacy of the Baba Yaga was not merely one of fear but of respect, a symbol of humanity's enduring commitment to building a better future, one star system at a time.